Hello, and thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show. A 100 years since Rodin, we take a tour of the big exhibition of the moment in Paris. Hidden for decades, Pollocks, Rothkos and Warhols go on display in Iran. And a room without a view. Banksy's new hotel in the West Bank opens for business. It's the most important art rendezvous of the year. Hundreds of works by the French sculptor Auguste Rodin are on display at Paris's Grand Palais to commemorate 100 years since his death. The exhibition is the starting point of a series of international events dedicated to the great master. I went along to the opening to check it out. The Burghers of Calais captures the moment the French town surrendered to the English king of the 14th century. It portrays the martyr-like sacrifice of 6 of Calais' wealthiest men. The Age of Bronze, inspired by a young Belgian soldier, caused a scandal when it was first shown. The artist was accused of having used a life cast of his sitter. And The Thinker, loved by his artist friend Monet, but described by some as a gorilla and an enormous brute. This sculpture has come to be seen as the incarnation of human thought. And here's their creator, perhaps one of the world's most famous sculptors, immortalized by his muse and lover Camille Claudel. Rodin, born in Paris in 1840, died 100 years ago, during the First World War. You're the curator of this exhibition. Many of Rodin's works were misunderstood, but the Baiser, the kiss, was an instant success. Why was that?
In the past, when Paolo and Francesca were portrayed, they were shown as 2 characters of the Divine Comedy, in period costumes or in an easily identifiable context. Rodin presented these 2 figures naked, which actually wasn't that shocking at the time. It came to represent the universal kiss.
With more than 200 works by Rodin, the exhibition also shows sculptures and drawings by artists he influenced, including Bourdelle, Picasso, Matisse, Baselitz, Gormley, and Giacometti.
Les modèles qu'il emploie, il ne leur demande jamais de prendre de poses prévues à l'avance, de poses.
The models employed were never asked to do prepared or stereotypical poses. He thought this was too stiff and not modern enough. He let them move freely until he became inspired. In the case of a walking man, we know the Italian model Pignatelli came to Rodin's atelier, got up on the table, and took on the attitude of a walker. It inspired Rodin's Saint Jean-Baptiste, and this sort of pose chosen by the model stood out and inspired him.
Et qui suggère ensuite à Rodin des sujets.
When Auguste Rodin died in 1917, he was the most famous and most financially successful artist in all of the world. A century on, this exhibition and others across the globe, from Adelaide to Germany to San Francisco, aim to shed light on one of the most complex and ever-changing personalities in the history of art. And Rodin, the Centennial exhibition is on until the end of July. And if you're at the Grand Palais, why not pop into the beautiful garden exhibition taking place? Art lovers and nature lovers meet at the new show, which is a collection of paintings, sculptures, films, photos, drawings, with important works from Monet, Fragonard, Picasso and Klimt. Here's the curator.
A garden is a living monument and seemingly impossible to exhibit. The idea of the exhibition was therefore to overcome this contradiction. The key question of this exhibition is whether a garden is a work of art. Of course, we believe in this concept of a garden being a work of art and a gardener being an artist.
We're now to one of the most important collections of contemporary art in the world, which has been largely hidden for 4 decades. Hundreds of pieces by the likes of Warhol, Pollock and Monet have been stashed in the vaults of the Tehran Museum since the Islamic Revolution in 1979. But from this month, visitors to Iran will be able to see a selection of the works once banned as symbols of decadence and excess by Islamic leaders. Josh Vardy reports now.
One of Iran's best-kept secrets, hidden treasures of contemporary art that hundreds of Iranians will now be able to experience. All the greats are here: Andy Warhol, Paul Gauguin and Pierre Soulages. These art pieces were all bought by Iran's last empress, Farah Diba. But since the establishment of the Islamic Republic 38 years ago, they've been hidden away in the basement of the Museum of Contemporary Art. A rare opportunity for the public to see some of them.
Not all Iranians have the chance to go to galleries around the world and perhaps see a Gauguin, for example. But they are right here in Iran. There was a time when we used to buy these canvases, a time when it was important for us.
It's so interesting to see these artworks. We've seen very little of them. I think this exhibition gives the message that Iranians are so happy to be able to see it.
Not all the 1,500 canvases can be shown. Paintings of nudes in particular are banned under the laws of the Islamic Republic. Even this painting by Francis Bacon could be considered controversial.
The beliefs of our people do not allow us to set up an exhibition of nudes. That is why some of the paintings have been censored, because we cannot show them in our country, but we can show them outside Iran.
For this exhibition, a selection of 60 pieces by Iranian and international artists have been chosen. There were plans to show them in Berlin, but the exhibition was suspended with no fixed future date or reason for the delay. The museum authorities hold on to the hope that this collection will one day be shown outside Iran.
I have a feeling this exhibition will go abroad. It provides a positive and useful dynamic for society, for foreign artists and Iranian ones. It's something which should be encouraged. I think when election fever arrives, we'll be able to continue and send these works abroad.
Iranians will have until mid-June to enjoy one of the most important contemporary art collections in the world.
Next, guests have begun arriving at the new hotel created by British street artist Banksy in Bethlehem. The walled-off hotel stands a few feet away from Israel's security barrier in the occupied West Bank. There are 10 rooms ranging from budget barracks-style accommodation for backpackers to a presidential suite. All of the rooms look out onto the 5-metre graffiti-covered concrete wall, and that's not deterred a wide range of guests.
I've read about that Banksy opened a new hotel, and I was really curious, and I was in the area, and I thought I would check it out and stay for a night and give my support to Bethlehem in the West Bank.
What struck me most was there was a strong polarization from I walked across the border, took a cab into the hotel, and then checked in. The dichotomy between what was going on in the exterior as I entered into the space was really polarized, and I find that really striking.
Now to New York for the first American retrospective of one of the most influential female artists of the second half of the 20th century. Lygia Pape was a key figure in the development of Brazilian modern art. Titled A Multitude of Forms, the exhibition shows how Pape took European abstract art influences and mixed them with the culture of Brazil. Here's the curator.
She really was an artist, very much focused on experimenting with the legacies of the European avant-gardes, in particular with the abstract vocabulary of geometric art, but also with the idea to apply it to a new context, which was Brazil after the war, and then enduring a long and painful dictatorship. She was the first, for example, to bring architecture students into the favelas to study their way of life, their forms of construction, precarious constructions. So throughout her life, you see a will to connect art with real life.
And just before we go, one of France's best-known filmmakers is teaming up with an alternative artistic nightclub in Paris for a 3-day event. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind director Michel Gondry has been invited by the Salo Club to take over the space. And you can go and check it out. We're going to leave you with a taste of what to expect. Remember our website, we're also on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
Reporters, presented by Mark Owen.
Since its annexation by Russia in 2014, Crimea has been subjected to enforced Russification. Voices of dissent have grown quiet. Today, only the Tatar minority and a few pro-Ukrainian activists still oppose the annexation. Russian authorities are using the police and the courts to stifle them. France 24 met some of Crimea's dissidents. They are finding it harder and harder to resist Russian pressure.
Reporters on France 24 and France24.com.